Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Brandon Kekich.
You're listening to The Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
How's it going, Brandon?
Hey, it is great. How about you guys?
We're doing good on this snowy Michigan day.
Yep. So, sweet. Well, let's get started. So let's go back to when you were really little. Did you want to be an agent when you grew up?
Man, I wanted to be an astronaut and a police officer and president for a while until I got old enough to realize what the job entailed. And, I really didn't have much of an idea what I wanted to be. I grew up in a very blue collar area where not a lot of people owned homes. So real estate wasn't even top of mind. And what's wild is my grandpa was a realtor when I was growing up. He was retired by the time I was even out of high school. So it was just something that I just kind of never even connected.
Right.
But no, it's not. Definitely real estate was not something in the cards. Went to college for marketing. And during that, my mom had gotten a real estate license in 91. And she got a builder that she was doing business with. And she said, "Hey, I need some help in here. Could I hire my son just to do some stuff around the office?" And because I was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to even go to school for. Yeah. So She hired me in there. And so I was talking to the builder and I said, well, I had this long hair and I was like, maybe something in construction. And he said, no. He said, we're actually going to put you in the sales office. And I said, okay, well, I'll cut the hair. And he said, no, put it in a ponytail. It's cool. Just find yourself a suit coat and show up. Yeah. So after a little while doing that, I said, Mom, sorry, you got to find someone else. I'm quitting because I'm looking at you guys making this money and I'm not sitting around an office doing admin. And much to her disappointment, I did not go to work with her at that point. And 19 years old, knew everything and decided to do it on my own for quite a while. And we actually didn't team up until I had a 4-year stint in Florida from 07 to 11. We didn't really officially team up a little bit before then. But when I got back, that's kind of when we officially put it together.
Yeah. What'd you do in Florida?
So I was a team leader and office manager for Keller Williams offices. We went down there, my mom and I did, in 06. We kind of saw what was happening. We had gotten another builder contract for some condos, and he wanted to know months supply of inventory in Northville for condo. Nobody knew what that meant in 2006. I mean, like the big brains did, but nobody, the National Association didn't discuss month supply of inventory until the recession hit. Nobody knew that term. So it took some time for me to figure it out. And when I did it, I saw the supply was just trending, just huge by 06 even. And I talked to the builder about it. He said, well, between you and me, I'm ditching. He had over 100 investment properties. He said, I'm selling everything between now and 08. I will have everything sold. And he said, I'm going to focus what I do have in Sarasota. And I said, well, my folks have a condo down there. And he said, well, if you can get down there and sell, you should. And here's some contacts. So we were going to go and just interview with some companies. And I did training for Keller Williams at the time, was certified to do some of the number stuff too, which most agents don't like, but I love. So by the time I got off the plane, my voicemail was absolutely full because they had somehow gotten a hold of my assessment, my personality assessment test, and just loved what they saw. So I went down there in 07 to 11, went down to run an office, kind of got promoted into a bigger office down there. And then that's when IndyMac closed. And in Florida, that started kind of like our auto jobs hit us pre-recession here. That was the pre-recession in Sarasota when there was a mile 1.1 line 1.1 miles long to get bank money out of IndyMac's bank. Wow. I mean, it was insane. So we consolidated the offices, relaunched, got a whole new ownership group put together, and by 2011, I was burned out. Just wanted to come back to Michigan and sell real estate again. I didn't want anything to do with managing anymore. I had to get the heck out of there and, mental health leave.
Yeah.
So 2011, you came back to Michigan and that's when you teamed up?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we were teamed up to some extent before then. I mean, we were teamed up, but it was more in where she needed help kind of
Mhm.
role. I knew that I wanted to get into management at that point, so uh, we were the Kekich team. She had an admin, she had me. I kind of did my own thing. She did her own thing. We split some transactions, but it wasn't as focused as a team at that point.
Yeah.
So when I came back for a little management stint, kind of half knowing that that office was probably going to be on its way out, but it was a good excuse for me to cut. And I have a tough time leaving things. So I'm like, well, I got this opportunity at home, so I'm going to go do that. Knowing that I'd be transitioning into sales quick. And
Mhm.
my mom, from day one, when I told her I was looking at the job back in Michigan, she's like, "Ah, we'll be a team in a few months. We'll be a team again in a few months." So yeah, so that's when we really hit it hard, kind of split everything 50-50 and put the team together and incorporated it. So it's been good. It's been a good partnership.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How is it
Yeah.
working with your mom?
Interesting. It's interesting. So that's why I said before, it was, I mean, we were the Kekich team, we worked together, but it was more, I was working for my mom, kind of in the
Mhm.
past. So it was a team, but it wasn't a team.
Yeah.
Right.
And it, at this point, the business is changing. I'm 47. Therefore I cannot speak my mother's age. But things are changing,
Mhm.
and we have a healthy amount of our business is elder law or elder care business with condominiums and senior citizens.
Yeah.
So she is just still perfect, better at that than I will be in many cases, because she's got a lot more patience and she's not worrying about how,
Yep.
how do I work the gimbal to show the house to the people who don't want to step in the house even before walkthrough, let alone
Right.
Yeah.
before writing an offer on it. So what I think is nice about that, though, is that she has that very, very traditional side of the real estate that she enjoys, and I enjoy too, um, where I'm focused more on numbers. I'm a very results driven person. I look at something and I'm like, oh geez, I didn't realize what was that I just stepped on?
Yeah.
Oh geez, that was a dead body I just stepped over. Sorry. It's not that I don't have empathy. I love our clients. We become such good friends with all of our clients. I mean, to the point where like I don't hear from them for a couple of days after closing, and I'm like, I miss you. I'll
Yeah.
text them or Facebook message. I'm like, where are you? Don't leave me. So it's not that I don't love the people. It's just she likes that side of it.
Yep.
We both got licensed in the early '90s, and so for her and for us, I need her to be that role.
Yeah.
And she needs me to be there's something on the other side of that wall. Well, just give me a hammer. I mean, if there's not a door, let's make one.
Yep.
So it's a nice balance. But because we do have those different personalities, we can butt heads here and there, but I think we've done a really good job. I think it's better because we're family.
Yeah.
If we weren't family, it would probably not be a relationship that lasted. But because we're family, she knows my level of crazy. I know her level of crazy, and we just kind of complement it. We kind of fill in the spaces for one another. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know you guys have that. Let's talk about that subdivision that you guys kind of pretty much just own the town.
Country Club Village.
So how have you? How did that kind of all start out when you guys started working in there? Because I know you guys pretty much got it down. It's probably been a long time. I mean, you guys been working that place really, really good.
Yeah. So when my mom, we sold downriver. We grew up downriver, and in '94, '94, I would have been 21. My folks moved from Woodhaven to Northville, and not much going on in Northville in '94. So I was like, I mean, at that point I was in real estate and I was doing fairly well. We weren't working together at all. We were just on our own, but I was doing well. And, so I'm like, living at home, they let me come and go when I want. I'm like, I'm never moving out, man. Until I get married, I'm staying home forever. So, I'm like, okay, how do I buy this investment property and this and this and this? But I'm still living in my mom and dad's basement, So when my mom and I came up here, we decided, hey, we moved here, we better move our businesses here. I bounced back downriver really quick. I opened up a Remax office by '96. but my mom stayed up this way, and she lives in Country Club Village. She bought a new construction home in there in 94. And so she wanted to do business where she lived, as we all do, right? I mean, that's every realtor's dream, is to own the neighborhood where they live. So she kept being told about a particular agent who, oh, this guy owns it. This guy owns it. This guy owns it. Because by the time she bought in there, it was already 5 years old, even though they were still building.
Yeah.
And Lita, as sweet and kind and caring and loving as she is, does have an extremely competitive nature in her. So again, though, we're rewinding almost 20 years, right? So kind of like me now, where I just, boom, I go.
Yep.
So I think that was driving her a little crazy, but she sincerely loved where she lived and wanted to work there. So she just kind of made it her mission to get in there and to do what it took. And when I say do whatever it takes, it wasn't, cutting fees or doing anything crazy to do. It was quite the opposite, where there was a realtor who the guy would do anything. I mean, some crazy stuff to get business in there. And I think that her ethics started to shine through. People started to see that the guy was kind of an assembly line with pricing. He didn't give the time. You listed with him and that was it. Maybe you saw him at closing. You probably didn't. So it was just that personal service, and we're both very involved in the community there. They don't pay for a directory. We pay for it. We don't want an ad on it. People know that we pay for it. So things like that, we just take care of the neighborhood. But my mom she went wild over there. I mean, I remember cold calling the neighborhood with her back when it was called a Bresser's book, and it was all the street addresses, and that's how we would copy the Bresser's book. There was no MapQuest or anything back then, right? So it was either that or the street atlases that we used. So we would call out of the Bresser, and there was pizza and pop night where we would cold call into the neighborhood. She farmed it like mad. The first listing she got, you would think that she had 20 listings because of the way she advertised and marketed, and multiple open houses and door knocking and telling the other neighborhoods and mailers. And I mean, and a lot of that we've come back to, by the way, kind of like what's old is new in some regards. So she just attacked that thing. So I can't take any credit at all for being in there. We did have some slippage of our market share for a while there because the demographics and condominiums have changed so much that there are a lot of young folks buying in there, especially if there's two people who bought the property together. If they're a couple, working around the clock, and condos are perfect for them. There's a swimming pool, there's a clubhouse, there's tons of walking, there's a restaurant, bar on site with live music. So the demographics have changed there. So we kind of had to change our tack to make sure that we would keep it. So that's where kind of the two different personalities fit in really well. And it's helped us kind of recapture that market share and put us back where we should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I've talked to some people, and I'm like, when I talk to somebody about like, not just your guys' neighborhood, just about like any neighborhood and kind of what you guys have done there, it's just like, I mean, every time I see a listing come through, you're just like, well, I know where we're driving to. Which one is it this time?
Yeah, 6 and Aggerty. There we go.
Yeah. So, but I know I've talked to a lot of people about just like what you guys have created there, and it's just awesome. I mean,
it's fun.
It's really hard to break into that now of how much you guys have already done there. So, I mean, it's like, go on to the next one.
it is, and so a lot of agents, we like to help out, the newer agents or the agents who want to start a farm in the office, and we gladly do it. If Lisa wants us to teach, we teach. If she wants me to one-on-one, I one-on-one, whatever. She's been great to us, so we return the favor. And the one thing we told them is actually don't do what we did, because we went into an area that was over 50% dominated by an agent. And had that not been, he's not in the business anymore, so I don't mind, kind of throwing that out there. Had he not had a lack of care for his clientele, we would not have been able to capture that market share that we did. So there are opportunities out there. I mean, I hate to say it, but if somebody can find someone like that, people want to be taken care of, and all the shiny bells and whistles and all that is absolutely fantastic. But at the end of the day, they want someone who cares for them. And there is nothing like I guess it's, virtual coffee now, but at coffee with them hearing a horror story about a family member's real estate transaction and the term assembly line, like I didn't come up with that. This is what clients, they all have called different. They're like, oh my gosh, it was like an assembly line. I was a number. And then they brag on you, that you weren't. It's easy. Word spreads quick, especially like with Next Door Neighbor now with that social platform.
Yeah.
It is really amazing how quickly a negative or a positive experience can get shared out there, and people just have to build off of it. But it's work though. I mean, it's not, the listings don't just come to us. As a matter of fact, the more business we do in there, the more we have to continue to step it up because other people see that and they're like, wow, I want to do that over there.
Yep. Especially if they're the ones that sell it too, and they're like, hey, I just sold to one in that neighborhood. Now we're like, yeah, guys, anyone else in that neighborhood want to sell? So I totally
exactly. It's smart. They should do that. I mean, we do that in other neighborhoods, so why wouldn't they? I mean, they'd be crazy not to.
Marketing's marketing.
Yeah, but look out, compete against me, there's trouble.
That's awesome. So what kind of advice did you get back in the day when you started out that was kind of stuck with you that you might have got from somebody?
Man, so we were with this little company downriver who had like 25% market share for all of downriver. It was a powerhouse. It's not open anymore, but at the time it was a powerhouse. So I went to my broker. I was just having a heck of a time. And again, being dumb 19-year-old who thought he could do it on his own, and so went to the company training. I went to my broker and I said, Mr. Richardson, and he was a great guy. He was phenomenal. But he was more of a figurehead at that point. So I said, I'm having a really tough time. And I said, I just can't get anyone to sign anything. I said, like, what's your best closing line? And back then you had like white, pink, and yellow. You had to press, it was this carbon stuff, and you'd rip off a copy and give one person that. And he said, hand him a pen and say, press hard, cheap carbon. I said, are you kidding me? He said, no. He said, do that and don't say a word, and look what happened. Needless to say, I didn't do that. The best advice I got was actually from my grandpa. It was unsolicited, my papa. And he said, the one thing that I always learned is make every single client feel like they're the only client that you have, that you don't have any other clients at the time. It doesn't matter how busy you are. It doesn't matter how bad of a day you've had. It doesn't matter if you have to, move things around and ask them to do something at a different time. He said, no matter what you do, they have to feel like they are the only client that you have at that point. And it's something that really stuck with me. He's, when they always say, like, if you could have, have a beer with anyone dead or alive, who would it be? And it would be my papa. And then I've always felt like that, even when I was a punk kid. I mean, I loved the guy. He was just the kindest, best guy you'd ever meet. And so that has really stuck with me. And in the beginning of my career, not so much. I thought it was silly. I thought people needed to know that you're busy. People need to know you're productive. Why would you want someone to think you're the only one that this agent's working with? And, as I get a little gray in my hair and, get a little older, I realize, wow, that just the wisdom in that simple phrase. And it has really paid off in droves. I didn't realize I was even doing it until I was like, wow, I'm kind of doing that. And so then I just wanted to be more mindful and just think about that more often. Yeah. So that is the advice that I would give anybody, is to just make people feel, not the only advice I would give them, but just to make them feel like they are truly the only thing in your world right now.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
What kind of goals do you have going forward in the next year or 5 years for your team? What kind of goals do you guys have?
So we are going to be emulating Country Club Village in 2 different neighborhoods along the 6 Mile corridor. We're already working towards it right now. Unfortunately, the way we're doing it is a little non-traditional. In single family houses, we're taking what we're really good at, which is, now let me back up. Country Club Village makes up 25% of our business. It's just a neighborhood that we've got a proven formula on. So we're taking that proven formula, which is very senior citizen focused, and that's how we're going to expand into these other geographical locations. So my 5-year goal is to have 2 more country club villages, basically. Okay. So to have, to triple the size of what we're doing right now. And we're set up pretty well for it. We're doing pretty well. We're making great inroads on it. It's going to be a lot of work because it's a different world now. And I think because it's a different world, some aspects of it will actually be easier, to be able to do that. It's a frantic market right now, but it's not frantic for senior citizens. They are staying put. They're not moving. They're not doing anything until things settle down with the whole pandemic. A lot of them, we have listings ready to go, commitments, inked and everything. And we're not even close to putting their houses on the market because they just want to hold off.
Right.
They want to get that second shot in their arm and have some distance between that and being able to list. Because that is just such an extremely vulnerable population, and they don't want 30 people coming in their house during all this. So we understand that. So it's going to take a little more time because we had actually put this in motion in 2019, and it's like, oh man, because we're like, we're the only people that are really going to be farming, hard over the winter of 19 and into the winter of 2020, and that way we'll be all set, and we're focusing in on these empty nesters and second homers and people like that. So we know the message is there because we're getting the feedback and the appointments. Nobody else is listing those houses. We have some of them listed, they're just not ready to go on the market yet. So right. I think come spring, early summer, I'll have a nice idea of where we are with that. And I think it'll be in a really good place. I'm hoping I can make a couple phone calls and smugly gloat to some people who said that we're absolutely crazy for focusing on the way we're doing it, because they are some pretty competitive farms. They're not as competitive as like we are in Country Club, but they're pretty competitive. But we're going to kind of work with what we know first and then radiate out from there. So it'll be fun. It'll be a fun 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
That's awesome. Well, we got one more question for you.
Okay.
How do you test a calculator? How do you see if it's working? How would you know? It's so random.
How would I test a calculator?
Yeah.
I would do something really simple, like that I already know that I could do in my head.
Yeah.
I'm bad, man. Man, that just threw me off. Yeah. I guess to go with what you know already, right? Like with my farming, I know that 2 times 2 is 4, so let's do that. I know 4 times 4 is 16, so let's do that. So I hope your calculators are working okay.
Right.
Just,
Yep, perfect. Well, is there anything else you want to share with everyone before we go?
I think that's it, man. Just again, apologies for the weird lighting and audio. My normal COVID spot I would do this from is got air scrubbers and HEPA filters and water being mopped up right now from the pipe burst. So sorry if I sound a little funky and the lighting's off.
It's perfect. Actually, so how can people follow you and get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me at kekichtteam.com, the phone number, of course, but follow our Facebook page, Kekich Team on Facebook, Kekich Brandon on Instagram, and at Brandon Kekich on Twitter.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Awesome.
That was great.
Thank you, guys.
And all your information, that was awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay warm. Stay safe.
Yep, you too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thanks. See you guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Are these working?
All right.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe? What do we got to point at it? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
it might be there.
It might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Find
it. It's red.
Yeah. And it's blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah, I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review for listening on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars, review. Guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
I don't think this is working.
This is not working.